recap last session for inspiration.
I can I can do it. Kind of. I can askance do it like I did last time,
Right.
where everything is
You
slightly wrong.
I
want to
I
try
love it though.
you want to try group effort then?
Hell yeah.
Right, go for it, and I'll whenever I can find it in my notes, I'll chime in to help out.
We started off having arrived. Oh, okay. My screens just went black. Hold on.
Oh my god, Tom.
No, I'm
Right,
installing video drivers. That is
Oh, okay.
perfectly
yeah,
expected. Sorry,
right.
the
Okay.
second anything. We arrived at the village of Valaki, which, despite all appearances on the map, we came in from the east and not the west.
Mhm.
We convinced the guards to allow us to take uh, the children, Christopher and Vasha, over to the um, to St. Andrew's Church, a temple to the morning sun. I want to say Dawn
Dawnfather.
Sun, Dawn Father. Oh, okay. It's just a okay. I thought it had its
Yes.
own cool moniker, but it's oh okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
that's
it's
kind of
really easy.
well okay. To the Dawn Father, and we were told that the head priest was doing service and we would have to return. However,
Oh,
a
sorry. It's the Morning Lord.
Morning Lord isn't that still just Lathander? Like, isn't that just another name for him?
Yeah.
It is, but Zeldrin kind of determined that like their mythology appears to be an incredible simplification of a lot of deities
Yeah.
in Faerun, but they worship as one of two. But yeah.
Um, we handed off Christopher and Vasha to a young, I guess, altar boy, whatever you want to call it. Not really a page because it's not a knight, but acolyte is, I guess, a good word for it. A young priest in training,
Mhm.
and went back to meet with Zezarak, who had been waiting outside the gates with Floof, because the body that we had found of uh, uh, of the Vistani, the body and the horse were not allowed in the city. So, having dropped off the kids, we took said body and horse to a Vistani camp that is not too far outside of town, and they thanked us for bringing their individual to them. We had a brief conversation that these are not people who are affiliated with Madame Ava at all, except to be kind of rivals, actually. Not rival, but like more like political rivals, like they not political, ideological rivals. Where Madame Ava believes that uh, heroes can be brought in um, to remind Zarovich who he used to be. That's us. We're heroes. Um, th- this individual, uh, 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 Aragal, yes,
Yes.
yeah. In charge of this particular group of Vistani is more just along the lines of can't be fixed, can't nothing we can do except ride it out. I don't know how you intend to write out an undead creature, but basically he doesn't believe that Madame Ava's plan will work, and that Madame Ava just keeps bringing people to their death. We agreed to return to him tomorrow because it was getting late to discuss some things that he wanted us to do, I think. But we, in the meantime, agreed to try to secure a new source of wine for him. To which end we went to the Blue Water, not Otter, um, as it was repeatedly and honestly preferably called, because that's just Blue
Right.
Otter.
Lose Otter in.
Yeah. It's time.
Loose otter in.
Right.
So we went there. We got lodging. Had a had a meal. Spoke with a circus master, who is bringing his show of oddities through, for an upcoming festivity. Air quotes on festivity, since this place is kind of reeled down, which is apparently illegal. We saw a bunch of people in stocks, men, women, and even children who had been locked up for the also vile crime of uh, facing reality and recognizing that shit sucks. Um, we we had a conversation with the troop master, whose name I do not remember.
Rictavio.
Okay, Rictavio. I was seeing if anybody wanted to jump in there for me.
Okay.
And one of the other things we discovered while talking with patrons there is that the Burgermeister, the Baron, the Burgermeister's wife, holds regular tea parties, because one of the performers had been invited to tea, and this is totally not a near hysterical person who is trying very hard to live up to her husband's own laws, as we discovered when we crashed said tea party. Crashed the party, explored the house a little bit, to put it nicely, towards ourselves. We definitely weren't snooping and breaking and entering. But we did eventually find the Baron / Burgermeister, and had a brief conversation with him where we offered our services. I forget exactly what we agreed to do.
Track down some employees that hadn't shown up to work.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh shit, that word is staff, not stuff. Awesome. That makes way more sense. Thanks.
Does your note say missing stuff?
hmm I was like, wow. I'm like, wow, that's vague. Right. And why would this stuff? Why was this stuff supposed to show up? That doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, it does.
And I believe we had a brief conversation, or we're going to have a brief conversation with the staff that is there. I don't think we had the conversation yet, did we?
Correct.
No, we have not
Yeah.
yet.
All right.
So that is
But
where
we-
we are, in the house that we definitely did not invade, from a party we definitely didn't crash. I'm certain I missed something.
Couple things that I can add on there. The father at St. Andrew's, Lucian Petrovich, is I believe, the brother-in-law of Baron Volkovich.
Correct.
Right. He's Lydia's brother. And then there's a fucking toy maker here who's got a goddamn monkey named fucking Blinksy. That, unless we can figure out unless someone can learn that Dream of the Blue Veil real quick and get us the fuck out of here, we're gonna have to deal with at some point.
Only if you go looking for him, probably. But yes, you
Well,
are.
We can't leave well enough alone. Who are we kidding?
Yes, you are in the Baron's mansion, Baron Vakolovich's mansion, Valakovich's mansion, with the staff at your instruction and disposal for interrogation. Lydia Petronova and her guests are in the what's it called? The parlor, with her guests, and the Baron is on the floor above. You've been asked, you've been delegated the den for your, I'm gonna say interrogation, but I don't think it's going to be as I don't think you guys are gonna be as intimidating as all that. And as such, what I think we're gonna do is we'll still role play your guys' conversation, but we don't necessarily have to delineate between every single member of staff who comes
Mm.
in. We'll still like role play and shit, but I'm not going to like make you ask the same questions of every member of staff who comes through. Sound fair?
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as one by one, maids and cleaners, gardeners, and cooks are brought into the den for your questioning, what do you ask?
We don't even have the names of the staff that's missing. Perhaps we should start with that.
The Baron did provide them. The lady in waiting who is missing is Ilyana, and the butler is named Boris,
Ah,
which was
Bob
determined
Wolf.
after session.
Got it. This is the problem with my notes being digital on my other computer. I need more paper journals. That's the answer. All right. Well, I suppose the very first question that seems prudent to ask is, do they live here in the estate, or is there perhaps a another place, an apartment, or something that we should call upon them?
Well, Boris and Ilyana, as close as they are to the Baron and Baroness, have quarters in the mansion.
Do they have errands that they frequently run outside of the mansion, or their responsibilities solely here?
They are personal attendants to the Baron and Baroness. If there is any personal matters or shopping to be done individually, it would be their responsibility.
Do you know if either of them have any family that live in town? And if so, where might they live?
Well, certainly family. We could, uh, by their last names, probably find major households, but wouldn't be able to tell you immediately.
Uh, the other, perhaps obvious question is, when was the last time that either of them was seen?
Probably as I was being dismissed for the evening.
Apparently, my roll 20 just crashed.
Oh.
I'm
Uh,
stuck loading.
many of the servants indicate that they had last certainly seen uh, Irina and Boris at least 2 days ago, but couldn't recall if there was anything earlier than that.
Hmm.
2 days. And
Do you
there has not.
fellows think it'd be prudent to take a look in their quarters? See if there's anything there that would lead us in a direction?
Yes, well, that sounds like an excellent idea. Even if it doesn't lead us in their direction, it might give us some clues uh, for additional questioning.
Well, if you Must know, and I share quarters with the both of them. They have not been there at least since 2 days past. But I can show you.
Wonderful. Lead the way.
This cook takes you to the room adjacent to where you are, that Zazarak had poked his head into
Mm.
previously. There are 4 cots with 4 footlockers that are all made, and points to the bed over here, and then the bed over here, indicating the one on the left is Ileana's and the one on the right is Boris.
Pan over the bed.
Sure. Making an investigation check.
Investigation.
Okay. Zeldrin, the bed is made, the locker is locked. Same observations can be made by by Arium. But everything is, I say that it is made. It is made with Arium, your investigation. You see that there is the professionalism of a housekeeper who has kept this room, but this is not tucked and well made with the intention of not being returned to, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like covered, or like the sheets are still turned down.
Wherever they are, they were planning on coming back here, but Zezarak, I believe you have the key to this trunk.
You read my mind. I will pop down to one of the trunks and try and pick that lock.
Sure. The lock easily yields, and inside you see the maid's uniform for the lady in waiting, some coin, a diary, and some personal effects. Not a whole lot, but even just the inclusion of the coin purse here feels telling.
Mm. Yes. What errands would one go on in town without their coin purse? I do hate to be nosy, but under the circumstances, and I'll hold out the diary.
I'll go through it.
The diary is a personal account of day to day in a simple shorthand. The final entry is from 3 days ago. Actually, I don't think you guys would necessarily have the wherewithal for the dates per se, but the servant who is with you can at least provide you with that context. And there is, I mean, it is just an abrupt end of just things that happened that day, specific errands that had to have been run, and some notes for her future self, primarily like make sure to visit Homestead within prior to the festival.
There's little doubt that this person did not abscond. They fully intended to come back. Afraid that does not lend itself to a very likely positive outcome.
Well, there is that note about visiting the homestead
Hmm.
before the festival. That might be something worth looking into. In the meantime, perhaps Boris's footlocker will contain more revealing items, and I'll try and pick that lock.
Chef,
Go
do
for
you
it.
have any idea where this homestead she refers to might be?
That lock does not open to you, Zazarak. And thinking, the chef says, do, 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 do. The Stefanova household. Mm, I know a few Stefan clan members. Some 4 blocks eastward. I would probably have some idea.
Thank you. That will certainly narrow down our place to start. Zezrak, would you like for me to try?
Yes, please. And I'll hand the tools over. See, when I tried to get that last tumbler, it felt like it was sticking. Maybe that'll help. I don't know if I can give him the help action.
Does not seem
Apparently, I don't
necessary.
need to. Yeah. Aaron tells me to shut the fuck up. He's trying to concentrate.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've already loosened the first, and yep, this one right here. It's just a little stuck.
This box actually has some freshly cleaned garments that had been taken to a launder and are still very neatly folded within the locker. There is still like not a purse, but a small chest that just shaking it, you can hear the sound of coins rattling inside. A safe box, some tobacco, and a small personal a personally kept bottle of finer sparkling wine.
Again, certainly nothing that indicates someone was looking to run off and make a new life somewhere.
It hardly even seems like someone who was looking to stay with a friend for a day or two or visit home. Seems like someone who did not intend to leave here.
I did see Eliana speaking with Victor on the last day that I saw her. It was not the last time that I saw her, but that boy does not come down from his room very often. They stand out to me.
Perhaps we should have a talk with Victor.
Yeah, that does sound like a wise decision, brother.
Good luck to you. Be protected.
I'm sorry, what was that now?
A blessing of goodwill, if you are to speak with the Baron's son.
Hmm.
Is there something wrong with the Baron's son? That the Baron would prefer we did not do so.
He doggedly kind of looks at the door and says, I would not fear the Baron if you were to speak with Victor.
I've heard a rumor that Victor can get up to strange activities. Do you know much about that? Uh,
I have seen that boy all of a handful of times in my years working in the manor. Each time there has been something stranger about him. It is not good to speak ill of someone in their own home.
And certainly not the child of your employer. But we take your meaning. Thank you. I think, however, that our investigation almost certainly will require such a meeting. If you could tell us which room is the best, is his.
There's a room upstairs. It is the last one on the right in the first hallway.
Thank you again. Shall we?
Oh, I believe we shall.
You guys can make your way there if you'd like.
What's that now? Listen, I should really know better, but I can't resist. Oh, apologies. Oh, no, the stairs are over here. I'm terribly sorry. I'm gonna go up those
Please
stairs.
leave.
Downstairs. Oh, don't mind us. We're just conducting an investigation.
This cook just has a knife in their hands and is waiting for you all to exit.
Oh well, now I'm all turned around. Where did they say Victor's room was?
First hallway on the last door on the left. But that really doesn't, as I recall, there's another stairwell at the end of this hallway, so I don't know
Yes.
exactly
Let's
which.
see. Came up here. Well, this is a hallway.
Yeah,
If this was the hallway, then this would be the first door on the left.
last door, I believe, on the left.
Oh, last door on the left. Well, if this is the hallway, then this is the last door on the left. I'll knock on the door.
my dear brother, those are windows, I believe.
Oh, yeah. What do you know? That is a window.
Last door on the right on the first hallway, presuming you would take the main stairs. Oh, that door should not be open. Oh, why is it open?
Because I went in there the other day when we were
Last
snooping
door
around.
on.
Yeah, that's true. Hold on. Oop, there we go. I assume the door had been closed. Or that you returned it to closed, I mean.
Absolutely.
Okay. But you do recognize that as the door that you had peeked into earlier. That no one was in.
It was empty a few hours ago. But perhaps he's here now. Hello?
Is that you knocking?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay. Why don't you two make me a perception check?
Does it involve hearing or smell? No.
Hearing.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay,
I,
well,
I don't understand. Why? I mean, why don't I get to make a percent? Hey, is this a door or a window?
Give me one second to make sure I've got this correctly. Make sure I've got my pathways correct. Let's see. Okay. You hear nothing from the other side. You do hear the sound of footsteps above you, but nothing from inside the room, and no one comes to the door. With your 24 and nat 2025 perception checks.
do you think it's worth peeking in there, even though there's
Well,
been no answer?
it could
Or
be
should
that Victor's just not looking for particular company. We have met Victor before. I could send him a message and let him know we're looking for him.
Hey, it's you guys from the path from outside, from out of town. Why don't you come on in and say hello? Oh, I believe Victor just invited us in.
Do you go in?
I'm going to approach the door, and unless they stop me, I'm going in.
I will step out of the way.
Okay.
What? No, Zazarak, you definitely shouldn't do such a thing.
You see, for you the first time, the
Mhm,
canopied bed, a low bookshelf, and a full-length
mhm,
mirror that faces you as you enter the room.
mhm,
This room is clean, and the bed has been used,
mhm.
but has been made.
Oh, look, there's another. No, just a window.
Passing by the bookshelf, you notice that some of the collections include some fables, mythology, some
Mhm,
heraldry, and other uh, basic, what's the word, informational subjects.
mhm. Uh, yeah, there doesn't seem to be anything of much interest in here. Is this a desk that I'm looking at here?
That's the bookshelf.
That's the bookshelf. And what's this over here? The mirror?
Yes.
Okay. Um, yeah, I'll sort of randomly flip through some of the books on this bookshelf, see if there's anything that catches my eye.
You pick up a book about a creature in the swamp that
Mhm.
feeds on ravens. That you kind of skim through.
You know what?
Uh,
Anything about necromancy?
ah, no, nothing that you
Hmm.
see.
Or-
Perhaps, Veldrin, if you'd like to send him a message, and we can simply wait here. Zazarak, I am thinking back to the house that tried to kill us and all of the things that were found there, and perhaps. Haha! And I will pull on the mirror.
It comes flying from the wall with a clatter.
Okay. All right. Never mind. I thought I was clever.
Holy shit! That's an animated mural.
Can I go take a look at the window and see if the window is openable or open, or if someone's outside of it?
It is unlatched. You can stick your head out. You see people in the garden below.
Mm. And we had heard that there was someone in this room a moment ago, right? Or did you say the opposite of that?
The opposite of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard somebody walking around upstairs, but nothing here.
Right.
Gotcha.
And just so I'm clear, I don't think you guys have told me that yet. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Cool. Just making sure.
Mhm.
Well, let me see if I can't see if Victor's up for a little meeting, and I will cast sending to Victor and just say we've been asked to investigate something. Was hoping to pick your brain a little bit, call on you. We're in your room, but you are not here. Let us know if you're available to speak.
That's a little invasive. I can be with you momentarily. If you wouldn't mind leaving my quarters?
And I'll just say out loud. He said he'll be with us momentarily. He has asked that we leave his quarters, and I'll head out the door.
Somebody could help me with this mirror very briefly.
Oh yes, absolutely.
A few minutes pass as you try to replace the mirror, and after a little while, Zazarak, you see coming down this hallway
Hmm.
the long dark coat, a little bit covered in what appears to be chalk dust, and the loose, ragged, thick, dark hair, or thick brown hair. Seems to be brushing himself a little bit as he comes out of the hallway, sees you there. Oh, yeah, it's you.
Well,
Hello.
hello. It's nice to see you again.
Yes.
Perhaps you
He
remember
holds out his
my
hand for you to
friend.
shake.
I shake it.
All right.
Perhaps you remember my friend Ariam and my brother Zeldrin.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Where would you be most comfortable having this conversation?
Might be more comfortable downstairs. There is more seating.
Very well.
He breathes into his palms and kind of rubs them together as if to warm them, and then leads you down the main staircase to the den. As you walk, he is leading you, and as you walk down the stairs, one of the servants is coming up the stairway with some food on a tray and just stops and pushes herself to the wall as quickly as possible to stay out of Victor's path and lets him through. He walks right past without seeming to notice.
As she passes, I'll just ask, is that food for the Baron?
She nervously nods.
Very well.
Victor sits himself near the hearth in a chair by itself in the corner,
Mhm.
his hands on the armrests and his legs crossed.
Well,
thank
friend,
you.
sorry for the, you know, mind speak. I know that can be a little bit jarring for those unprepared for it.
No concern.
But just I know you mentioned when we last met to maybe avoid uh, mentioning our prior acquaintanceship, but our events in the city led us to meet with the Baron, and he brought to our attention a little bit of a situation he requested our assistance with, and uh, well, we hoping we could ask you a few questions about that, and just generally check up on you, see how you're doing.
I am well enough, thank you.
That's wonderful. Say, we were speaking with a couple of the other employees in earlier, and they mentioned the missing folk. Um, what was their names again? I'm sorry.
Oh, you talking about Ariana and Boris?
hmm One of the fellows we were
Ilyana, I believe.
speaking to
Ileana,
mentioned
Ariana,
that
Arena.
Irina.
that Ileana was had been seen speaking with you not long before she had disappeared, and we were just hoping you could maybe tell us what that conversation was about, or if you have any idea where she might have run off to.
He breathes into his palms and rubs them together again and says, I was only asking if she could assist me with something after the terms of her contracted hours for the day. They have housing and quarters in the manor, but we try to give them reasonable personal time. A small favor to ask her. She acquiesced. If you're looking for missing persons, though, you have not thought to speak with Isaac.
And who is Isaac?
Good friend of my father's, almost a son, I would think. He chuckles and rubs his fingers again together. If you've been in Valaki for any amount of time now, you might have seen him on the roads. He's sort of a remarkable specimen on his own.
See the one with the arm.
The same.
hmm Well,
Isaac has
we'd
been
be happy
known.
to speak with him. But the event, the help that you had requested from her, what was the nature of that?
There is just things that I have been spending my time educating myself with that little complex in nature.
hmm Anything similar to uh, some of what you were working on practicing whenever we first encountered you?
Not of the same nature. He smiles.
Do I believe him when he smiles?
You can make me an insight check.
hmm This guy's over. If this guy named Victor is over here Frankenstein in our last our lost folks.
there is an uneasiness you have with this response, but the casual response does not lead you to believe he is lying.
Hmm.
Either that or he is very good at lying.
Hmm. Well, Victor, I must say, what people say about you is true. You have a unusual way of speaking that tends to put one off kilter. But you are amongst friends here, and if the Twilight Rider has taught me anything, it's that the last glimpses of daylight will help illuminate all, and shedding light on any confusion can only bring individuals closer. And I'll grab my holy symbol, and as I do, I will channel divinity. Now, please, stop talking in code and tell us what it is you're working on. Maybe we can help you.
All right, why don't you make me that persuasion check?
I'll spend an inspiration on that since I just spent my channel divinity on it. All right. I'll let that go.
All right, take that. 9 to a 20. Whew. His gaze wanders to the open window, and then he walks to it and draws the curtain. Walks around you, Arium, in a stockish manner, and then closes the door to the den. Then briefly looks at all of you with a quirked brow, almost asking, without asking, if this is all right.
I
Certainly.
just nod.
I have a fortune that I have uncovered. A secret hidden within the Velakovich library. Tools of an arcanist. One quite powerful. Any sorts of conjurative magics, including a path that could be drawn out of any place, brought somewhere else. I confess that I am still a novice, that the arcane is not a natural inclination. But with time, work, it has become easier. I asked Eliana and I asked Boris. They would help. They would offer themselves as perhaps the pioneers to a place. Both agreed.
Well, are they still helping you? Or is their work done?
As complete as it could be.
And so where are they?
If it is accurate within the tome of knowledge that I have been studying, a place called Baldur's Gate.
Oh, hey, we've been there.
You believe you have found a way to pierce the mist in the same way that the Vistani do.
He smiles. The text is not complete. Took a lot of practice, work. Try to make as accurate a circle as I could. I have no way of truly knowing. It works. Asked others to see for us. My father does not want me here, my mother does not care. And in time it may just be, regardless of its completion, the path by which I find myself out of Barovia.
Well, this sounds utterly fascinating. Would you care to show us where these experiments have been conducted? Perhaps, given our travels and expertise, we might have some knowledge of the arcane that we could contribute.
Furthermore, if there were a way that I could, it might not be impossible for me to contact someone who has made it across the veil in the same way that I contacted you. It would have to be someone I were familiar with, else I'd try it on, Boris and Ilyana. But
Yes, you have much to gain in sharing this information with us and little to lose.
As he thinks, he smiles and says, I believe you're right. And standing in front of the door, he opens it and steps out into the hall, motioning for you to follow.
And I do.
All right. He leads you up the main stairs once again to the second floor and walks the path that you had seen him take Zazarak into this hallway.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, into the master bedroom that you had seen the trap door in.
Mm-hmm.
He effortlessly pulls the cord and down drops a sliding ladder, which he climbs. You all follow?
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. The first room enters into what is a private bathroom, a bathing room reserved for the master bedroom. But Victor ignores this very quickly and opens the door to the south here. Into a long and open, hey buddy, attic chamber full of old forgotten things draped in white sheets. Piled around these stacked objects are barrels and crates and trunks and even more old furniture covered in cobwebs and dust. And you, with all of your own sight in the darkness, see the path through the dust that Victor now walks as he brings to the end of a wand that he has produced from his coat a small blue light. He walks this path all the way to the opposite side of the attic.
Something about the illustration of this room that is just creepy as fuck to me.
Oh God,
But I will
his
follow
token.
him. Yeah.
Oh God, hold on. That token got fucked and it won't let me fix it.
Yeah.
Also, like I said, I do hate this token. It's very creepy and unfair. Victor produces a key and opens the door opposite on this far wall. It's you. Wrong layer. Wrong layer. Go. On the door as it swings open and the light kind of catches it, you see a wooden sign hanging from the doorknob, carved with a little wooden, or carved into a wooden plank, and a skull like branded into it, and under that skull just reads the phrase "all is not well." He doesn't seem to notice this, or does not. Oh my God, Miles, you made me ruin the token again. Love you, sweetie, but don't grab. um, the chamber beyond is filled with mismatched furniture and has been made into a sort of study where a lot of the candles have been recently blown out by the smell of the light smoke in the room. Tables are strewn with pieces of parchment on which diagrams are drawn, and a freestanding bookshelf holds a collection of bones. A dusty rug covers the floor in front of a pine box on which lounges a skeletal cat. Several more skeletal cats in varying degrees of decay skulk about every surface of this room. In the corner of the far room, there are the three small figures that immediately stand too still for you to be too frightened of immediately, but what look like small personages. Victor actually goes over to that corner immediately and throws a dust cover over them. And Ariam, as you're kind of looking, you can see that those were just mannequins. As he does so, he kind of turns back over his shoulder and kind of smiles to you. And with kind of a weird humor, he just says, "My pupils." And he like raises his finger in sarcastic quotes.
And what are we teaching?
It is easier to think if you are thinking out loud. That is all. He smiles again. The circle He's over here. And he walks past you to the rug and pulls it back. You see underneath, carved into the wood with blunted blades that are also sort of scattered from under the rug as well, what is the makings of a transportation circle.
And you believe that by its use, Boris and did they go together or one at a time?
Boris first, then Ilyana later.
What does it look like when they go? Is it a violent affair, a noisy affair, or do they just disappear?
Both of them did scream.
Hmm.
There was light and dust, and the runes lit. Screamed and then were vanished. He snaps his fingers, and all the cats sort of kind of snap to his attention.
Mhm.
And then he lowers his hand, and they all go about their skulking.
Victor, I'm curious. What are these bones doing here?
He looks back and says, I had attempted to try moving inanimate matter first.
Hmm. It looks like that wasn't very successful.
He nods.
You any chance you got these from your uncle?
Father Lucian, no,
Yes.
not from within St. Andrews.
Oh, so you were just doing some, I don't know, grave rob? Where does one get bones?
Cemetery of St. Andrews. He offers a shitty smile.
So
So,
these were pulled from a grave in the cemetery, not from the reliquary.
Of course.
I think I would like to cast detect magic
Sure.
and just look at these bones, see if there's any radiance, any divinity to them or something.
The room sort of has the reek of necromancy just as the cats are wandering around. The bones. Do, 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 do. The bones have a faint necromantic aura as well, but it's very, very thin and certainly not anything you would associate with. If it is the case that the bones of Saint Andrel are holy artifacts, it would not look like this. You would know that with your religious background.
Gotcha. Okie doke. That makes me feel a little better. I was about to say we knocked out two quests with one interrogation, but
You also do see the transmutic magic on the circle that looks not correct as well. Actually, I said transmutive, but
I think
I never
teleportation
remember
is
which one is.
conjuration.
I never remember which one is. There's like one of them that is technically like technically transmutation, and one of them most of them are conjuration. Uh, Conjuration. Yep. Okay.
Keep cleaning.
So, you say you are arcanist. I have suggestions. And he pushes some of the papers aside and sits himself on one of the uh, tables. One of the cats comes and sits in his lap.
I am only a dabbler, I am afraid, but certainly nothing on the scale of sending someone to another realm. Although I can. I will hold out my hands and summon McCormick to me. I have at least one good trick.
His eyes gleam in the darkness with curiosity, but he remains seated.
Well, I was hoping I would have a better idea, but no, the magic here seems to escape me. What about you, brother? You have any insights you would like to share?
Well, I can definitely see the conjuration with the circle. It does seem a bit odd, a bit off. I don't know how to describe it. As you know, certainly not an expert whenever it comes to the arcane so much as the divine, but something does feel very off.
Anyone can make an arcana check if you wish to inspect the circle.
Natural 20s had to end at some point.
Oh,
But I will still spend an inspiration on that.
Okay. Ouch.
Technically, it's better.
Zazarak, with limited understanding of the
Mhm.
arcane, you still have what would be a more fundamental understanding of arcanic iconography, and Arium, you even more so. There are some sigils that are within this circle that are not arcane runes. They are incorrect. And just by default, while this circle may be filled, it is clearly flawed
Mm.
and
Well,
could potentially be very dangerous to use.
look at this one right here, Ariam. That I might not know much, but if I know anything, I know that this can't possibly be correct.
Yes. Um, the- and remind me, a moment ago you said they went through silently, correct? The portal appeared, they stepped through, and
A flash of purple light. They were gone.
Well, I do not know where they have gone, if anywhere, but if the intended destination was Baldur's Gate, I can say with a high degree of confidence that with this sigil as part of the circle, yeah, and perhaps that one over there as well, there's little chance that Ileana or Boris ended up in Baldur's Gate. Where they ended up, if anywhere, is anyone's guess. I would be very careful and perhaps about using this until you can correct at least those two locations. But perhaps you should put a pause on it entirely until you can go over the entire thing, perhaps with a arcanist of greater knowledge.
He's making some notes on some stray pieces of paper. This would need more time. There would be time enough for collecting, for testing again, certainly. He nods.
Well, and perhaps another piece of advice for you, Victor, not of the arcane nature, but rather simple strategy. That is, if you would like to keep this circle secret from your parents, well, then perhaps don't solicit volunteers from their staff.
He absently nods as he continues to scribble.
That does bring me to another question. What shall we say to the Baron when he asks what we have learned? I take it, Victor, you wouldn't be keen on us saying that his staff went missing because you were doing experiments in the basement?
He waves his offhand to you and says he would not believe you.
Well, I must admit, Victor, I am torn. On the one hand, if you are able to find what you are searching for and construct this circle correctly, well, then it could be a lifeboat for many people in this land that have had no hope for a very long time. But on the other hand, its current incarnation, it is quite dangerous. And I'm interested to know what you plan on doing to reduce that danger for any further experiments you might conduct.
As he continues to write, he says, try other configurations, other substitutions. Continue to test. It will be made correct.
Where have you been drawing this knowledge from? Simply this one tome?
Yes, book from the Velokovich library. My father does not miss it. Did not even bother to know that it was there.
May I look? May I see this tome?
His hand stops and he looks up at you over his writing. And then
Victor,
he
have we not been helpful?
slides off of the table and goes to a desk. One of the cats follows him. He draws the book from a drawer, turns around and sets it on the table in front of you, Arium.
Thank you. I promise I will not try to remove it from this room.
It is a moderately sized, leather bound book. The leather is black but worn. The spine is deeply cracked. You open it.
Mhm.
You see inside a spell book, and one that is quite dense with both notes and annotations in a different hand. The older ink is worn and weathered. Much of it is missing and water damaged. There's even, certainly enough, the teleportation circle that you see on the ground with much of it missing, incorrect, and pages and pages of inserted paper with different configurations of substitutions and workarounds left in the pages to try to accommodate for what is not there.
And flipping through this spell book, um, there's no like name, owner name.
Um,
We found another spell book, didn't we? I feel like we
you had,
definitely did. Yeah.
yeah.
I assume this
No,
is not the same handwriting.
correct. There's nothing that would indicate ownership, or if
Okay.
there were, it's been since destroyed or vandalized.
And how well does the circle that he has drawn match with what is in this book?
Make me another Arcana check.
Actually trained in this. There goes 15.
What remains in the book is exactly copied on the ground. It is only in the places that that there is anything missing or malformed that you see discrepancy.
So you copied this, and when the markings were missing from the book, you improvised, you drew from other spells.
He nods.
That is certainly reckless.
And your hope is to just stumble accidentally on the correct symbols to complete this circle.
there is another option, happy to find it.
And you said this book came from your family's library, and you've no idea where it came from before that.
Nods again.
We haven't resolved the question of what to tell the Duke entirely, and I must caution you that what you are doing is incredibly reckless and dangerous. You've no way of knowing if it works or not, really. How will you know? How can you be prepared to know it is safe enough to go through on your own? You cannot.
He nods.
Victor, you are not going to like to hear this, but friends are honest with one another. You have to stop this experimentation. Ariam is right. It is reckless and it is dangerous, and there's a very good chance that you are getting your volunteers killed while gathering absolutely no evidence one way or the other of whether it's working or if it's not, what needs to be changed. Now, that is not to say that you need to give up on this dream. It is a good dream, dream of hope. But you have to pursue another path. You have to dedicate yourself to learning the arcane arts, perhaps finding other spell books. You found this one. Perhaps there are others. Perhaps there's one with the missing pieces to this transportation circle. Perhaps there's one with a complete teleportation circle. But until you find that, you cannot ask anyone else to go through here.
His jaw sets. How long have you been in Barovia?
Not long.
I have been here my whole life, under the eyes of a man whose folly is to believe that pure hope, optimism, the only tools that will fight against the Dark Lord and keeps within his house. Cretin is a monster blessed by the infernal gods. The only person who has ever given care to myself has been my own mother, who has fallen to insanity by my father's bleak outlook. I will take this circle, wherever it may take me.
Yes, you may take this circle wherever it may take you, but this does not give you the authority or the right to lead people here to, for all we know, die. Whether they go willingly or not, I'm sure if they go willingly, they do not know all of the detail. If you wish to try this, we will be happy to help you try it. But you shall not bring another person down here to test it out. If you think it is safe enough for someone else to go on, then it is safe enough for you to go on.
Simply glowers and holds his hands out to Arium for his book.
I will give him the book. If you don't mind my asking, can you tell me where your family got this item? It seems an unusual gift, after all.
The book?
Yes.
Father could not be bothered to learn history of this place beyond the only pride of his family name. Do not know where this comes from.
So what's the plan, Victor? Want to fire that circle up and take it for a spin?
Or you're going to wait until we leave your fair city and lure another poor sap down here to try it out for you. With no veritable way to tell that it works properly.
What I am to do in my own house is my business.
Well, it's all business now, too. Your father saw to that. And look, I I think you are right in many a thing. I even think you are right in the general approach you're taking, whereas others, your father included, are hanging their hat on hope and then walking away. You are taking actual concrete action. However, you have gone astray. Not in your dream of getting this circle up and working, but in your belief that you can randomly fill in the missing pieces of that circle and ever get it to work again. The arcane is an intense practice and requires study and knowledge. And to think otherwise is as foolish, if not more so, than your father. You've gotten this far. I don't believe you are that foolish. I believe you're blinded and anxious to leave this place. And I can understand that. But as we've made clear, if you want to leave, you may leave. You may fire that circle up right now and walk through it and take that book with you. Hell, once you go through, my brother here will even try and get in touch with you. Then we can verify whether or not this thing is working. But short of that, we're going to need to come up with some solution that will assure us that you're not going to send any more individuals through here until you've done the hard work to make sure that it actually works. So, what say you? Feel like taking a trip?
His jaw still set and glowering at you. He walks to the circle. Many of the skeletal cats circle round him and begin crying to him. He pushes them away, kneels down at the carving. He looks up at you, Zazarek, and then drops open the spellbook. It falls open to its creased and open pages at the spell for teleportation. Draws his wand and he places it into
Telling
one
you,
of the carved niches.
This is a bad idea, Victor.
He begins to speak. Arcane words of power begin to filter through the air and light the signals and the sigils, and many of them crack and splinter in the wood with the force of their movement. And as the spell completes, there is a flare of purple light from the circle itself. At your feet, it sears. You can feel the power and the atmosphere in the air change, and hear the compounding of the air as it closes in on Victor and shakes his body. And as he cries out, the force of the circle and the spell shake through him, and he collapses and the light fades and he just sits in a huddled form, coughing.
Now, how come you are still here, but the two you attempted this on before are not?
I don't know.
Have you changed the circle at all since the time you attempted to send them through?
Of course.
What? Why, of course?
What good is a test if you only repeat the same for the same conclusions over and over?
What? I mean, you cannot possibly hope to continue to recruit test subjects. What will you do? I know you
He
wish to leave this place, but that does not seem. I mean, there are Vistani outside you could speak to.
He shakes his head, his hair falls into his face. The Vistani cell lies.
Well, perhaps. But you see, your method will lead you nowhere. What the only thing you have learned is that whatever changes you made did not work. You have no idea why they didn't work. You have no idea if you are closer to the solution or farther from the solution than you were the last time. So please, stop this foolishness. You want to leave this place? Well, I have news for you. So do we. How about this? Why don't you come with us? If we find something in our travels that either will help you complete this circle, we will gladly give it to you. Similarly, if we find a completely different way out of this place, well, then you're welcome to come with us. But this needs to stop, Victor. And I'll extend a hand to help him up.
His shaky arms push him from the ground. He looks up at you through fallen hair and wipes blood from his nose. Takes your hand and pulls himself up.
What say you? You want to team up and find a way out of here?
Yes.
Wonderful. I think I speak for all of us when I say the first condition of our team up here is that no more volunteers.
That aren't fully 100% completely cognizant of what they're volunteering for.
He coughs into his hand and spits blood into his glove. Nods.
Are you? How long have you been this ill?
Hard to say. I am healthier than many of the company that I keep.
Yes. I mean, that is not saying a whole lot, and I will look at uh, all of the cats. Yeah, but I imagine as the Burgermeister's son, you would have had no trouble seeing uh, the father um, at St. Andrew's. Perhaps they could assist you with that. It is well outside of my power.
Perhaps.
Um, not without some abilities in that area. Would you mind if I attempted to share some of the Twilight Rider's light with you?
By all means.
I will spend 5 lay on hand points to see if I can cure any sort of disease that might be going on.
You feel the cool night air feed through your fingers and know that it enters into his lungs. You feel that there is some health that is restored, and also feel in that there is also some external harm that had been done just by the uh, casting of the spell as
Mm.
well. But there is a breath of relief from Victor at your touch.
Well, uh, it's not it. Nice to see you feeling a little bit better. Um, Now, what do we suppose our next step is? Well, let's start with the easy part, I guess. What do you think we should tell the Baron?
We could. We don't necessarily have to make a lie, except maybe a lie of omission. We could say that the missing employees are no longer with us. They fell to some dark magics.
Well, I hear you, brother, but how then do we answer when he asks either what dark magics or how do you know that?
These are good extrapolations.
Yes, it is a sticky situation, given that even though there may have been some missteps, I feel it is in everyone's best interest to protect our new friend Victor here. Victor, do you have any insights on what might quench your father's curiosity?
Shakes his head. My father is a simple man. Does not like me at the best of times.
Um,
We could go with the lie that I feel Baron Velakovich will be most likely to believe and say that uh, agents of the Dark Lord abducted them and they are being held, tortured in Castle Ravenloft.
Uh, do fear that if to suggest such, you should provide a means by which they have been taken. If my father were to believe that the city of Valaki had been penetrated by the Dark Lord, then well, I certainly don't know what it would do to him, but I do not trust it would do well.
What are the chances, however small, that maybe Ileana and Boris might have engaged in some sort of romantic tryst?
Kind of wrinkles his nose. I do not know those sorts of things.
What if Ileana and Boris, so moved by the sanctuary and protection provided in the sweet town of Valaki, ventured forth to travel to lands uh, beset by villainous plague to bring news of the safety and sanctuary of this great town, and are on a pilgrimage to the city of Barovia to speak the good word.
Well, to at least be speaking to his ego. That is always safe.
I think that sounds like as good a cover story as any, Zeldrin. How do you feel about it, Ariam?
I mean, would it not be? I mean, we would certainly know the truth of it, and perhaps the servants to whom we've spoken, but if the simpler lie of two of them searching for a better life together in a new town is perhaps simpler, it would make sure that there are no suspicions to cast on Victor here, but or we can go with something else. Everyone is.
Oh no, I apologize. Do not take my silence for disagreement. I was just considering. It is a tough call. I mean, generally speaking, I think the simplest story is usually the best, but there is something about this situation that makes me think that, speaking of this man's ego and somehow tying the business of Valaki being a light in the darkness might be enough to get him to, might blind him to the significant holes in any story we tell.
I see what you're saying. That is. Yes.
Well, Zeldrin, I think you have hit on it. Oh, good Lord.
I had to. It's fucking driving me nuts.
Look, do not be alarmed, but that purple hue
Doppelganger!
has done a number on you. Do you bleed, sir? Do you bleed? Well, the second bit of business is how exactly we should proceed with this new partnership. Victor here gonna hold up his end of the bargain by not having any more uninformed volunteers to help with his knowledge acquisition, and will, of course, continue studying to try and find the actual runes that are missing as opposed to just playing a guessing game. We, of course, should we come across anything, we'll, of course, share it with you, whether it pertains to this teleportation circle or another means of getting out of here.
Sorry, forgive me if I've asked this already, but there is a Vistani camp not so far from this town. Have you simply thought of asking them to ferry you beyond this?
He shakes his head and he says, "Those born into Barovia may not travel with Vistani. They sell an elixir that they say may let you pass, but you'll find yourselves lost in the fog. And the fog will strangle you. Their elixirs do not work."
Well, that makes our search for Madame Ava all the more important
Hmm.
if we are to ever return to Daggerford.
Yes, well, I guess the question is up to you, Victor. Are you comfortable waiting here and continuing with your studies here while we are out and about trying to acquire knowledge of any way out of here, or would you prefer to travel with us?
I think I should need time to consider.
Very well. I think we'll wrap things up with the Baron. This festival is coming up, and the Baron had mentioned that he wanted us to be the guests of honor at said festival. Do you have any idea what that means?
They will feed you and wine you the best.
Well,
As even at the first half of that sentence you just said, still had me very worried.
yes,
Father
I do
is
agree.
Father is toothless. He is not the bear you wish he were.
Sounds like Isaac's the one we need to look out for.
He nods.
Well then, uh, Zelle, would you like to weave your tale for the Baron?
Uh, I think it probably best that you do the telling part of things. Sometimes I put a little too much character into my stories, and they do not come off as quite so believable.
Oh, I don't know. It was quite engaging.
And I don't think engaging is what we're going for, but
Hmm.
believable.
Yeah, well, I guess we could either do it now or, it might be a little bit more convincing if I could get a little rest.
hmm Well, we have other meetings to attend to. We gave the Baron no timetable necessarily.
Oh well.
Well, shall we head? I think our next stop was meeting back up with fella outside of town.
There we go.
Victor will walk you through the dark attic back towards the trapdoor and leave you there.
All right. I think it is time we left this palace of a home.
Yes, absolutely. On our way out, let's make sure to tell some of the staff that we are going to investigate some leads, both off of the home's grounds and some leads out of the city entirely. Perhaps let the rumor mill start buzzing and do some of our work for us.
Do you stop and speak with anyone before you leave?
No. However, I'm definitely going down the back stairs again. And but this time, as I go through the kitchen, to Zeldrin and Arian, but clearly out loud for the cook to overhear, I'm going to talk about. We're definitely going to need to get out of the city and follow this up, because if if our supposition turns out to be correct, they are gone, likely never to return. And then any staff that I see on my way out, I won't really stop, right? But I'll just sort of ask, like, ever mention anything about leaving the city? Ever mention anything about wanting to perhaps spend some time together in their downtime? And it doesn't even matter what the answers are. I'm not stopping to really engage in it.
Uh-huh. All right. And you leave the Burgomaster's Manor. And we'll take our 15-minute break. house. You've at least created a tentative alliance with Viktor Valakovich. I can't decide which syllable I want the emphasis on this one. Valakovich is probably correct, but Valakovich also is correct. Ugh, fuck me. Anyway, the baronet, we can just say. Let's see. And you've discussed, or you've passed some rumors along to the help. You have discussed. Now going to speak with Aragal. Is that the intention?
I believe so. Yep. Yep.
Okay. So you certainly can leave the city and return to the Valaki Bastani encampment just outside Valaki. Once again, see the hovels guarded by the elven gentleman circling the hill where the caravans are circled at its crest. Do you herald yourselves, or what do you do?
I think just walk right in like I did the first time.
The elf nearest to you nods his head in your direction and allows you to pass. You make into the camp. You see many Vistani who are about, either watching, working, just about their day.
I will just, I guess, to the sentry as we're walking in. Just Aragal is here. Yes, he is available.
Don't know if he is available, but he is here. And points up the hill.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
You make your way there. Do you ask around any of the Vistani?
Yeah, I think as we. Excuse me. Sorry. I think as we ascend the hill, Arian will just, until we actually spot him, ask whoever we come across.
Certainly don't immediately. And then one says, I think he's still in with Alexei over there. And he points towards the greater tent in the center of the circle.
Excellent. We come with good news about a few things, I suppose.
Right. Enter the tent. You see that there are 3 campfires within the tent that are being vented through the top flaps of the tent itself, letting out some of the haze. There are many Vistani members within that are either doing finer handiwork, needlework, or mending such, and keeping their eyes down as tied to the center pole of the tent is a teenager whose shirt has been torn from its back, and while a very large man, one who had accompanied Aragal the other day, has it stands over him and is lashing him with a whip. The lashings end when you enter. You see that Aragal is sitting nearby and watching with crossed arms and sort of a stern expression. He looks up at your entrance and at the sudden ending of punishment and nods for you to approach.
We have returned as we said we would.
Good. Alexei. The teenager lifts his head and with one of his arms sort of wipes his face. Tell these creatures what happened. He sits himself up, pulls himself as close as he can to the pole, uh, while still remaining bound. I was asked to watch over Arabelle at Lake Sarovich. I failed. She was taken. She's missing. Aragal gives him a look, and Alexei says, I need you to. I ask that you help me find her as recompense. Aragal looks up at you and says, Arabelle is my daughter. Alexei has lost her. It is part of his punishment to find her again. Though we would not have two lost to the darkness and the wilds when we have at our call capable warriors who might aid him.
I will look over to Zezarak and Zeldrin. I believe we will be quite happy to assist.
Yes, it will. We are happy to help. And we are sorry that your daughter is lost.
He gives you a grateful nod. Luvash, untie the boy. The large brutish figure who, if you may recall, looks quite similar to Aragal, just broader, bigger, taller, and unties Alexei, who just sits on the ground and catches his breath. Any other news you might bring from Vallaki?
We have a proprietor who is willing to supply you with wine at, I believe, reasonable prices.
Excellent.
It is just a matter of making a trip out to the vineyard winery a ways and having another conversation, though it seems as though we've got more pressing matters to attend to before we can make that journey.
That is all right. If you will take it into your time of the two, it seems only natural and expected. I would prefer to have my daughter returned.
We can make for the place where she was taken now, if Alexei is free to go. If this has been finished.
His eyes fall to Alexei, and he gives him a look, a nod, and Alexei pulls himself up and wipes his face again on the remains of his shirt sleeve. I will go.
Perhaps a clean shirt and whatever supplies you need, and we will meet you outside camp.
He
Which
nods.
east, west? Which direction are we heading?
North. It'll be north.
North it is.
He'll hurry out of the tent. Aragal still sits with his arms crossed, evidently listening to see if there's anything else you ask of him.
Your daughter was taken at some. You said a lake, right?
Lake Zarovich.
Let's see. And you had sent her there with Alexei to watch her?
She had asked to go. Alexei offered to take her.
I see.
What are the circumstances of her abduction? How many people?
He looks up at you. Alexei says that she was there. Had wandered some. Did not see her. Only heard her cry. Did not find her again.
This is an odd question. Have you something of hers? Scarf, something that you would give to a hound.
He sits up and looks amongst some of the things that are around him and pulls a smaller shawl and extends it to you.
I will hopefully return this with her wearing it, but it it will be helpful to have. North gate, he said.
He nods.
I will leave.
Yeah, I'll follow.
All right. Outside, you see
What
Alexei's collecting things from a caravan.
what time of day is it?
It's early afternoon.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just mindful of time. I don't know how far this Lake Zarovich is. Be good if we can be back within the city by nightfall.
If possible, but I think finding this child is perhaps worth staying out if we must.
Hmm.
Max, I will obviously allow you to adjudicate this, but I will call out to Floof and try and have Floof join us.
Let's see.
I mean, I think as far as the spell goes, I think it's fine. I think the bigger issue that I'm thinking about is, I mean, we left him in a stable,
Right.
so
That
like I don't know that he's going to be able to break free, or that I'd want him to. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want him to. I wouldn't want him to destroy anything.
uh I'll also say, I mean, you guys didn't know you were going far, but like you did know you
Mhm.
were leaving I mean, you can let him come.
Great, that solves that problem then.
Yeah, sure.
Floof.
Definitely draw the alarm of some of the elves, but uh it's easy enough to dispel the concern.
No,
Alexi
it's not.
returns with a
It's not our yard. Don't dig it up.
Alexi returns with a fresh shirt and a jacket and a bag with some supplies in it. It's not very far from here. Just this way. And he points north.
Before we go anywhere, drink this, and I will hand over my last potion of healing.
He looks at it and then you skeptically.
It will help.
He does so. And begins walking north. You do not necessarily see a perfect road, but you do see a trail, one that has been rutted by wagons and horses.
Alexi, can you tell us why she wanted to come to the lake? Did she confide in you?
She says she was guided. She comes from the same bloodline as Madame Ava.
See.
Sort of a spiritual leader. Some of us have more faith in her and her power than others. I think Arabelle trusts that she must be special. Though I've never seen her do a reading or perform any magic. Don't want that to sound like I don't believe her, but she's young. Wanted to extend some faith. It was a mistake.
Don't know that that is necessarily fair, nor was Aragol's blaming you for her abduction in this world where the Lord seems to have ultimate sway. That is perhaps expecting a lot of anyone, let alone You are a child of your species, correct?
He blushes. Yes, I suppose.
Yes. Well, given we've seen multiple now grown men who have been killed by the other inhabitants of this awful land, it should have been celebrated that the two of you were not both taken.
Looks down and continues to follow the track. Is there anything anyone wants to say or do while they are traveling?
I think I'm good.
Not that I can think of. Actually, I will summon out McCormick if I had put him away before and just to have him on my shoulder.
Okay. As you are walking this path, keeping a keen ear out for anything around. Why don't you all or sight keeping watch out. Why don't you all give me perception checks?
Do, 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 do.
I should roll just in case it involves. Never mind, it's still the 14.
Zeldrin and Arium pick up the sounds of a creature treading through the forest and nearby. Does a sound to be approaching, but it is steady and incremental. You hear the sound of hoof on stone on occasion. And breaking in through the mist, crossing the path you are walking, you see an elven man on a horse who is wearing all fine black leather, has sabers on his waist or on his belt, and long dark fingernails and a very spiteful expression. Alexei freezes and, with a hand, sort of gestures for you to do the same.
I will make sure that I am between Alexei and whoever this is. Or at least, I mean, not like body blocking him, but at least in front of him.
Yeah, I am walking next to Floof, and we'll just put a hand on Floof's neck to indicate that they should stop.
The horse is nearly passed over the path. This it is a black horse with black hair as well, and the leathers of its bridle are also stained dark. As it is passing, its thick fur and body rather heavy, um, just sharp tug as it is beckoned to stop. And the elf, long black hair, straight and lightly flitting in the wind, turns and looks at all of you. So it's true, we have strangers once again in Barovia. Curious to let such folks as yourselves cross the borders. tilts his head and regards each of you.
Well, we are only strangers because we have not met yet. Who might you be?
Suppose that is true. He turns the horse so that it pulls and faces you all, and he rides closer to you. So he sits above you. Rahadin, the right hand of the Dark Lord. And he extends a black gloved hand to you from above.
I will
Uh,
shake his hand. Arium. Arium Kashai. That is a particularly strange title. Is it
He,
ordinary for a person to call themselves the Dark Lord?
he smiles and says, "It would be willful ignorance for Master Zarovich to not be aware of where his power has come from."
I'll also shake his hand and introduce myself. Zazarak. I'm confused. Are you the source of Baron Zarovich's power?
No.
My apologies. The ways of this land are foreign to me.
Naturally, as strange as you are, as playthings brought in. He smiles, gleaming white teeth. I'm assured that Master Zarovich is eager to meet you all. He is biding his time.
Are you the one that has taken a young girl from the lake here?
He looks down at Alexei. I do not trifle with the mortals, no.
Then you have no idea where she is either.
At present, I do not. Perhaps you are interested in aid in finding her?
Why, sure. We could use all the help we could get.
Yes, I am not so proud as to say no, although the right hand of the Dark Lord helping find a scared girl. Forgive me, and again I will take all of the help I can that we can get, but why?
Why would I offer the help?
Arium nods.
She is Vistani. And he looks at Alexei, who nods. Dark Lord would be disappointed to know if any of his faithful, concerned citizens were left feeling helpless or hopeless.
Then the faster we get moving, the faster we can find her.
She is this way. And he tilts his head towards, on the path, the direction you are headed.
I look down to Alexei.
He nods. And Rahidin pulls once again, and the horse turns. He begins riding just a little ahead and down the way. I
Yeah,
assume you follow?
yeah, I would say chase after.
Okay. He does not ride quickly, certainly slow enough that you may all keep pace. And within half an hour, entirely elsewise unaccosted, the trees breach. And amidst the misty forest, you see the beautiful, glittering surface of a dark lake that mirrors the crests of the mountain around it. The shoreline is rocky and gray, and you have no way of knowing how deep these waters run, but the surface is still. You see, on the southern shore that you are upon, 3 small rowboats have been pulled up. You also see that there is a 4th boat in the middle of the lake, with a lone figure in it with a fishing pole.
Alexei, this is where you were when she was taken? This is Lake Tsarevich?
He nods and he says, I don't think that there were. He points out towards the to the lake. I don't think anyone was out when we were here.
The fishermen, you mean? They were
He
not here
nods.
before? Okay. Perhaps they are
You the
worth... Carry on.
you there in the boat. Can you hear me?
You see the head lift. It's about 400 feet away, but this passage echoes.
Have you seen anybody else about?
Puts a hand out to his ear.
Have you seen, and I'll point to my eyes, anyone else around? I motion with my finger.
He sets down his fishing rod and then retrieves his oars. Begins to row. But he starts rowing away from you.
Arium will pull the scarf that he was given. I will spend the bonus action to transform into Rokea, who will take a smell like a bloodhound before handing it to him. Hold this. I'm gonna go catch someone.
And you dive in.
And I will dive into the lake.
Oh, you done it now, friend.
You have a swim speed, right?
I do, yes.
And it's equal to your walking speed.
Yes.
Okay. The water
It might
is.
be set at 30, which is my
Mm,
walking speed, but either way.
mhm. The water is quite cold, but
Yep, I was
clean
equal to my walking
and
speed. Right.
so refreshing immediately. You're immediately taken by how clear everything feels. And you immediately can smell that there's not a lot of life within this water.
Yeah.
And easily overtake one dude in a rowboat. Um, it's a little frantic, and when you surface, you see the panicked look of a haggard, bearded fisherman who is sweating and suddenly terrified. Um, uh, he just drops the oars upon your approach and shields his face.
I will very carefully pick one oar out of the water and put it in the boat. Pick the other oar out of the water, go under the boat, pick the other oar and put it in the boat. You're gonna need those. You're gonna need them later. I'm gonna pull you back to shore for now. We need our little chat. All right, it's all right.
Do you look into the boat, or are you just kind of below the edge?
Oh no, I'm dropping the oars in there for him to have later. So yeah, I will scope the boat.
You see a wriggling, bound burlap bag at the bottom of the boat.
Oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
I'll call out, Rokea, you good? Do you need company?
We'll be back to shore in just a moment.
This man is no intimidation check required, is too scared to fight you in any capacity or even to be coherent. So I'll let you slowly push the boat back to shore as this gentleman continues to fold himself up in grim anticipation of whatever might be coming his way.
I guess once I can push the boat onto shore,
Hmm.
I will pick up the squirming burlap, open that up. Someone make sure he doesn't run off.
Don't worry. Raheen drops from the horse and walks across the shore to him, where the man cowers further and goes to jump out of the boat and into the lake, but faster than you could believe. You see a sharp clawed grip latch onto this fisherman's back and hold him in place and drag him onto shore, holding him just onto the ground. You open the bag?
Don't kill him. I mean, even if this is what I think it is, we might want to actually have a chat. And then yes, I will open the burlap bag.
There is a pale girl with raven black hair in thick and warmer clothes, bound and gagged inside, who screams through her muffled gag at your shark face.
It's all right. It's all right. Right. Let me give you to Zeldrin. He's the pretty one.
Oh, Rokea, thank you. Sorry, Zaz. Dear, it's all right. We are.
Zazarak is hugging Floof.
Tears welling.
No one can see that. My face is buried in Floof's fur. I just wanted a romantic moment with my lovely Floof.
I'll just lead her. Her brother is with us, right?
I don't think they're related, but yeah, Alexia's with us.
Okay, I thought they were siblings, but
No.
Okay. But yeah, we'll lead her over there. We will give us a moment. We're going to see what was going on over there, but if you'll
Alexi's
take her-
already trying to untie her.
Yeah. I will, help make sure that she gets untied and kind of leave her with him.
Mhm.
I think I have
Okay.
a blanket, right? No, I have a bedroll. That's not quite the same thing.
No.
It consists of bedding and a thin blanket.
Oh.
There we go. So Big Shark Man will very carefully hand that over to Alexi.
Yeah, he'll wrap her up. She's shaken and alarmed, but they're talking to each other quietly in yeah. Here, yep.
Rohadin, have you spoken with this individual at all? Do we have a name? Pardon me, the unusual climate here. I must be allergic. My eyes seem to be leaking.
In just the one hand, Rahadin lifts the body and sets him upright, still holding him by the scruff and almost dangling him, and says, "You'll be lucky to get anything from him. He's one of the empty ones." And he sort of extends him to you. The gentleman said, "Please, please, 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 please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. I swear I was just trying to offer something so that there's been no food and the fish has been long gone. This was just trying to appease the spirits, the gods. Please, I swear."
Right, what's an empty one?
Some of
Isn't that
these,
what you called him?
right, you're new.
Mhm.
Some of the mortals in Barovia do not have the fortune of having proper soul within them. Most are fortunate and are the spiritual descendants of first in this land, and many are not. Fisherman is still just whimpering and blubbering in his caught grasp.
So,
I don't understand what you mean. What happened to their souls? How's he walking around?
They have thought, ability. For all intents and purposes, they are people. Your elven kind, you understand reincarnation. Most of true worth in Barovia are more like us, but without the memories.
And what, you was gonna throw... Sorry, go ahead. I've spoken enough.
Well, no, I mean, I think we're all a little confused here. Okay, I mean, you said we wouldn't get anything out of this one because it was one of the empty ones, but you said that it also walks and talks and acts just like any other person. So, what is it about being an empty one that would make it impossible for him to give us any information?
He rolls his eyes. I can let him go if you'd like.
Put him down.
He does so, and he drops. Not far, but you can feel the thud.
What's your name, friend?
Pluto, Khagorov. Volaki.
Right. And what, your plan was to just row out to the middle of the lake and drop a child in?
Supposed to
I
be
mean,
special, isn't she?
And what, you thought that would just make the fish come back? I mean, I was in that water, you're right, there's nothing in there.
Give the Dark Lord something he wants, and he'll provide. And Rahadin chuckles at this.
You thought throwing one of his favored people in the middle of the lake would let the Dark Lord drop fish in it for you?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Hard to think straight when you're hungry, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine desperation makes you do some crazy things.
I will reach in my pack and offer him one of my rations.
There's hesitation in taking it, but he does, and he breaks it open, tries to put some in his mouth, but he's a mess.
Mhm.
I mean, we can always take him back, turn him into the guards. I imagine even here kidnapping's a crime. We could throw him in the lake, but that just seems...
Well, yes, I guess my only question. No, I think you're right. I certainly there must be some repercussions for kidnapping. I just don't know if it's proper to hand him in to the gods or do we hand him to Argyle?
Terrigal.
Aragal, yes.
I don't know. I mean... Erigol was quite happy to let a grown man whip a boy. I think if we turn this one over to him, we might as well just throw him in the lake. If we turn him into the guards, then again, maybe we don't have the right way of justice here.
Yeah, it's another difficult call. I have not known Aerosol long enough to know whether or not he'd be frustrated with us if we handed this individual over to the gods.
I don't think the gods are gonna. I don't think they're gonna care much. This doesn't seem. Well, yes, I think kidnapping is not necessarily uh, looked on politely. I'm sure the guards might have a. This was one of their own. Kidnapping someone who was not one of their own. And if they make a show out of things, then that would mean all is not right in Valaki. All is not well. So, I think either we return them to Aragal or else they might not need to be returned.
I could handle this for you. Remove your burden of choice.
I don't think that'll be necessary.
And I don't find choice to be a burden, actually.
I can assume that your master would end this one here, right?
If
Taking one of his chosen Vistani and all that.
he saw fit, find it worth it. Just as easily they can lead him into the mists to wander into madness or the mouth of some other beast.
Yeah, he already seems half mad anyway. Now, might as well bring him with us. Take him to Aragol. He's the one who... Well, really, it's the girl that was slighted, but you know what I mean. Vistani justice and all. Seems
Well,
a
that's
mite
Yes. Better that he
kinder.
face the justice of man in the light of day than fall prey to some creature of the night.
you know what? I do believe you have made an excellent point, Rokea. Arabelle, I know
She lifts
you're
her head.
I know you're a bit shook, but what do you think we should do with the individual that abducted you?
Seems a mite heavy to, I mean, as a child. That's...
Well,
She says, I never want to see him again.
But we will do what we can to ensure that you do not have to see him anymore. But I do not think leaving him to fall prey to the mists or the monsters is the right call either. If we wish to pass judgment now and take it on ourselves to see that he does not leave this glade, that is one thing.
I still lean towards just taking him to Aragol, although if Rahadan here wants to dispense the Lord's justice, it'd be the same at home.
Let's take him back to Aragol. We'll make sure that he is bound. And there will not be any trouble.
Rahadan goes back to his horse, mounts, and waits for you.
I'll ask Arabelle if she would like to ride Floof.
She'll take that offer.
And I'll start walking Floof back to camp.
All right. Rahadan once again takes lead and follows the path farther than the point where you had where it was likely that you had met him, and eventually stops and says, "You are about 1,000 feet from the tree line." And then he gestures for you to pass him. An honor to make your acquaintance. I look forward to seeing you all again.
Yes. Always nice to meet new friends.
Bows his head. Turns the horse and vanishes into the mist. It's mid-afternoon when you re-enter the Vistani camp.
Has it been more than an hour?
Not since you've rocated.
Okay.
Nice.
Do you opt to switch, or do you just stay where you are?
Oh no. Okay, sticks around.
Okay. Muddled confusion, a little bit, but mostly impressed dismissal as Arabelle is produced and brought to her father. There is a silent warmth in their greeting. You can see the familial similarity and comfort between them. And Aragol offers his gratitude and his forgiveness to Alexei.
Well, we also brought this one. Figured he'd make an offering and all that. Did you know Lake Zarovich is completely empty?
There's been suspicion. We have other means. His brow sets as he looks at Bluto, the fisherman. We will handle our justice.
For what it's might mean to you, it didn't mean much to us. Some bloke named Rahadan said this one's one of the what was the word?
I believe he said it was an empty one.
There you go.
The mention of the name, there's a few furtive glances exchanged between some of the Vistani, and any of the elves who are present stiffen. It's fine.
Well,
We'll take him anyway.
all right. Well, think is it just me or did things just get a little weird? Did it get a little weird around
Yeah,
here?
definitely got some knickers in a knot. But
Right.
It's not
you-
my story to tell. If you wish to learn more about that fellow, his lips curl. Speak to Casimir. He's only
All
on
right.
the
So
eastern side of the camp.
the weirdness was definitely about Rodden and not about this empty one thing.
Many of us have suspicions or our own spiritual inclination. Some even profess to be able to know who is and is not bound to this land. But it is known there are some folks in Barovia who are born, and they are just born.
right. That's not ominous or anything. Casimir, you said. East side?
He nods. He calls to one of the elves who is nearby and asks in less of the commanding tone of his authority and more of a polite more of a polite tone. Would you take them? And he nods. He offers to lead you. Yeah. Follow?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. The other side of the hill, in one of these hovels, each one has some amount of personality that has been affixed to them. This one has elk horns that are rested downwards over the doorway. The elf knocks lightly, and then the door opens to a hooded elf. The weight of the cowl sort of pulled enough so that you barely see his eyes, but you do see the long and braided black hair hanging over his shoulders. May I help you?
I hope so. We'd uh, told to speak to you about some guy we ran into while hunting for um while looking for Arigol's young girl. Some bloke on a black horse called himself Rahadin. You are Casimir, right?
See that his jaw tightens and his grip on the door, his knuckles turn pale. He opens the door some more and, without saying anything, moves out of the way for you to enter.
Through the
Thank
doorway.
you. Our name's I'm Zeldrin. This is Azarak. That's Rokea. We're kind of new here to Barovia. We hoping to learn a little bit more about what all it is we've walked into. Uh, we were out looking for the young girl, and this figure introduced himself as the right hand of the Dark Lord.
I know who you speak of.
I'm sorry if this makes you uncomfortable. I understand, but we need information if we are to move forward.
Gestures for you to make yourselves comfortable. You see wooden statuettes of elven deities situated in cubby holes along one wall, and there's a tapestry of a forest hanging on the opposite. There is a fire in its hearth. Place has comfort, but it is small.
I think Zeldrin will go and uh, um, start at the. I'm assuming there's a Corellan,
Yeah.
and just go and make a little pay homage to each of them.
All right. Casimir busies himself somewhat in the kitchen area, though doing what it seems to be uh, predominantly occupying his hands. Rahadin is one of the elders of our people, some maybe 700 years old, older than the mist of Barovia. He is the hand by which the doom of our people was written centuries ago. When the master of this land took and took from us our forefathers bowed out of necessity, yielded because we could not lose any more. We were a dying people, pushed to the fringes of our home, trapped within the mountains and in the forests, hunted like rabbits. Rahadin thought it was weakness to yield and found allyship in the strength of the Dark Lord. Some few hundred years ago, and he glances out at you, perhaps still somehow before any of you were born. My sister, Trina, became obsessed with saving us, our people. She sought power in places that many of us would not have dared to tread. It's a place she spoke of, a temple made of amber that housed deep secrets. When she had returned from her pilgrimage, she was changed. She sought audience with Strahd von Zarovich. He breathes and his hands rest. Her time with him, something else changed in her. Became apparent that even in her visits to our people, she was becoming unstable. Something was wrong. And I, young as I was, and scared as I was, I made a poor decision. That ended her life. And the master of this land beckoned to Rahad and asked him, requested of him. Perhaps it was not even the idea of Master Zarovich on his own. May have just been what Rahadin had wished all along. But following the death of my sister by the hands of one of our own, all of our women and children were slaughtered. Those of us who have lived these 100 years are dwindling. Our line is ending. I cannot deny my part in it. Rahadin is still the hands by which our fate was wrought. And I would do anything to see vengeance of those who he had killed. And I tell you this story not to relive the horrors of my past. And he takes off his hood, and you see scars and malformed cartilage where his ears had been peeking through some of the bound hair, some of his braided hair. But so that you may know power that Rahadin, as only a chamberlain in the house of Ravenloft, yet wields. That you met a vicious, merciless murderer. He allowed you to walk away.
Hmm. Well, that does mean that the three of us, we should all be careful here. Even. Not that we're not careful to begin with, but still.
Casimir, I cannot begin to say the sorrow I feel for what has happened to you and your people. Um, Thank you for sharing this story with us, that we might know the pain this man has caused you.
And trust me when I tell you, regardless of your actions, you cannot blame yourself. As you have said yourself, these people are powerful, they are ruthless. I am sorry nonetheless. But Rokea, you are correct. Seems we should increase our level of caution.
Do you think the cells are trapped in the mist? Maybe if we find a way to pull down the mist, maybe the cells can move on to where they're supposed to be.
That
I think it possible Sehanine herself doesn't know the answer to that question.
I mean, I do like where your head is at, Rokea, but I must admit, before I am concerned about the souls that may or may not be trapped in the mist, I am concerned about these good people here.
Yeah. You're right. Don't. I can't think there's much that we can really do about it right now, though.
No, I think in the immediate time, maybe head back to Valaki, make some plans to maybe head out to the winery, maybe start the investigation for these bones in earnest.
Mm.
I think
And we,
meeting back with the fathers, possibly our next step. Casimir, if there is anything that we can do for you, please let us know. We are here to help, and we have business with the church in town. A quest given to us by them, but I hope that this is not the last time we get to speak.
I hope so too. It has been a very long time since we have seen others like us that were not faces we already knew. We are all one in our cycles. It's good to know that there are still others.
Very well. Well, we should be based in Vallaki for the next while at least. But we do our best to stay in touch. Like I said, if there's anything you need, just let us know. We should try to make a point to get back in town before the sun goes down and see if we can catch the father before their dusk sermon.
He nods. Right. Back to Vallaki. Really done. You are allowed through the gates.
I am sure my Rokea time is probably up by the time that we are heading to the gates, but just in case, I will turn back. Regardless.
Right, and you return to St. Andrews.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you can kind of see that Father Lucian is preparing, and a few patrons are entering and providing their offerings at the altar.
What? Oh wait. What? What? We needed to speak with the father about what precisely?
The reliquary.
The reliquary. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if there was something else that had come up in the meantime.
Not that pertains to the father particularly. We'll make a point to fill you in on anything in case. There's a lot of very important information it seemed like that Rokea was made aware of.
Oh, I caught everything from behind Rokea's eyes.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you wish to speak with Lucian?
Mhm.
All right, he'll take you into his office.
All right. Well, Father, sorry it's taken us so long to get back to you. Been one thing after another here in town. But is there any? I guess what we've come to ask is there any place that we might start in our investigation and see if we can't track down what's gone missing? Perhaps we can see the location where that item was stored or kept. We can see if we can pick up some kind of trail from there.
I could take you to that. The only other who is aware of the reliquary is Yeska. It is only recently that I had given him the key to the cupboard where they are kept. And that is where I am alarmed. Yeska is a good boy. I do not believe that he would have taken it. When I spoke to him about it, I had made sure he understood that this was something special, be kept private, secret, sacred. But he is young, and maybe fear or intimidation, something may have persuaded him. It is often kept just under the altar. You wish to see.
To believe that is the best place to begin our investigation.
They'll take you to the altar at the head of the chapel and produce a key and unlock the cupboard underneath, revealing nothing.
Brother, should we need to question the boy, would you be prepared to make sure he's telling the truth.
Unfortunately, I would not. I would have to
Perhaps.
meditate on that and let the twilight ride of bless me come tomorrow.
Well, perhaps we see what we can see, and should we need to have a conversation, we can do so tomorrow. Um, Ariam, you see anything out of order there? Or I'll give you guidance if you want to look around.
See anything out of order? Where there's not bones where there's supposed to be bones.
Mhm. No signs of something being forged, nothing left behind.
Yeah. I will look around where the bones are supposed to be, even though they're not there.
Fingerprints, you know, get out of UV light.
Oh, don't do that.
Am I checking investigation, or is there?
yeah. Sorry. Yes.
I didn't want to just roll, so I was waiting.
I do appreciate that. Yes.
Ooh, not great. I'll burn. Yeah, I'll burn my. Check the guidance. The investigation. That's
Oh.
still worse. I'm paying for those nat 20s early on, so it's a 14.
You don't see that the lock was forced. Very likely that a key was used. You see that there is not a lot of dust in here, as if it is pretty regularly that this place is attended to. But it is a small enough cupboard, essentially. I'll also say that there is also stored in here some other artifacts, more some holy symbols and like blessed water, and but not anything expensive. I guess holy water is technically expensive, but like it's only expensive in use, not to like yeah.
Well, nothing that stands out. There's no damage to the lock, so whoever broke in to take the reliquary skeleton definitely had access. And this new person you trusted with the keys, are they here?
Yeska is actually the altar boy that you guys had met yesterday.
I will look around. Is Yeska here currently?
Yes, he's like helping an old lady to a pew.
I mean, we can ask him, but I am skeptical that that Yeska is the one who has taken the skeleton. But it's worth asking, and perhaps he has seen something that he may not realize is of significance.
I too doubt that it was Yeska, but I think you are right, and maybe he will tell you something that he would not tell me.
I will wait for him to finish with the old lady before I go bother him.
And I think, unfortunately, that is where we're going to have to call a session. We'll handle